Welcome back to Thriving Thursday. If you haven't subscribed and would like to, please do and hit the icon, the bell icon, and you'll receive notifications when I put out a new video. Well, welcome back. We're talking about gratitude once again. For the last couple of times, we've talked about gratitude and how it relates to joy. When we think about Christmas that's coming up, right? We think of things like love and joy and peace, right? So today we're going to connect gratitude and peace. So if you didn't see my previous video, I told the story of my mom and her cancer. And you might want to go back and look at that if you didn't see it yet to have a reference point. But I want to tell another story about my mom in this cancer journey. So actually two stories. One is she said to me several times, I'm so thankful all I have is cancer. Now she had stage 4, very serious cancer that metastasized and it was everywhere. And so I said to my sister one day, doesn't Mom realize that the cancer is probably what's going to kill her? She keeps saying, I'm so thankful all I have is cancer. So one day, so the third time she said it, one time it was my sister and I were both together, one time it was just me, and then the third time I was sitting with her waiting for her to go in for her chemo treatment, and she was looking around at the other patients and she said, I'm so thankful all I have is cancer. And I said, Mom, you've said that a couple of other times now. What exactly do you mean by that? And she said, I don't have emphysema. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have chronic back pain and osteoarthritis and things that create issues for other people. All I'm dealing with is a cancer. In fact, the doctor said I have a healthy heart, and so they're giving me the big guns. You know, they were giving her the chemo that they couldn't give to people who had other health issues. And I think that's what gave her those extra 4.5 or so years, right? Because her doctor kept calling her his miracle. He really didn't think she was going to last another over 4.5 years. So anyway, so she could say she was grateful that she was healthy other than the cancer. And so she could have the extra difficult chemo treatments, right? And that could hopefully kill the cancer cells. So that's one of the reasons she was grateful. And I said, but Mom, I said, likely the cancer is going to be eventually what kills you. And she said, and if it does, I know where I'm going. She knew she would be with God. So she had peace in the midst of her cancer journey because she was grateful for what she had instead of seeing what she didn't have or wishing she didn't have the cancer and agonizing about it. She accepted it and said, I'm thankful for what I have. In fact, in this conversation, she said she could, in between her chemo treatments, she could still enjoy her grandchildren. She could still enjoy seeing people. She could still go to church. She could still teach her Sunday school class. She could still do her normal things because she wasn't affected by it every week the same way. You know, like in between her treatments, she could still do things, and not everybody could. And that was part of what she was grateful for as well. So then the second story is her neighbor. When her neighbor found out that she had cancer, when my mom told her, her neighbor started to cry. And she said, oh, why you? You're such a good person. Why you? And my mom looked at her and she said, why not me? She said, people get cancer every day. Why would I think I would be one who would necessarily escape some kind of suffering like this? Only a heart filled with gratitude can have that kind of response to very severe cancer that did eventually take her life. So if you struggle with peace and you're always in angst and you're anxious, you're worried, you have regret, you have those, "Ah, I should have gone to law school, or I should have done this, or I should have done that," or you have those what ifs, what if this happens, or what if, or you simply are in your moments very disgruntled with life, with how unfair life is and how it's dealt you a bad hand, right? Cancer is not a card anybody wants to get in the card game of life, right? Divorce isn't what any of us want. The death of a spouse isn't what any of us want. The death of a child isn't what any of us want. And more mild things like another month of COVID, more people coming down with COVID, isolation from COVID is not what any of us want. But if we can tap into being truly grateful to God for what we do have, for each moment of each day, and not be robbed of our moments by our anxiety about the future, our regret of the past, or our just plain discontentment with the way life is playing out for us right now, we can have peace along with joy that we've already talked about. But if we are ungrateful for what we have and disgruntled with what we have, and we're looking at our past and upset about things that happened in the past, and not being able to move on and forgive. Now, I know it takes time to work through things. I'm not suggesting that. And many of us really do need to go to therapy and work with a really skilled therapist to deal with trauma from our past, for example. And many of us could use help from a therapist to not be so anxious about things in the future. I get that. I'm not trying to oversimplify. And I'm also not trying to be one of those optimists who it's all about being optimistic, right? My mom didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to beat this cancer and think positive thoughts for me and I'm going to beat it." No, she accepted it and she said, "I will likely die from it. That doesn't mean I can't enjoy the moments that I have." And she truly lived them. She truly enjoyed them. So, another topic that relates to gratitude, and that is peace. We can have joy and we can have peace in the midst of suffering, in the midst of unfulfilled desires and dreams, in the midst of regrets from the past, if we can truly be grateful for all that we have. And next week, I'll give us a simple tool that maybe we can start using as we move into the Christmas season and into the new year to help us become more grateful and be mindful each day of things to be grateful for. So grace and peace to you this day and every day.